Welcome to the Nikki Rich Show. I'm your host, Miss Nikki Rich, and today we have an exciting show for you guys. We have none other than Eric Metcalf in the house. Y'all know him as the two-time All-Pro running back, three-time Pro Bowl, Texas Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Texas Longhorns Hall of Fame inductee, Virginia, as well as the Virginia County Sports Hall of Fame inductee, and also he is a humanitarian. So, with no further ado, I'm excited to welcome for the first time here at the Nikki Rich Show, Eric Metcalf. Welcome. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm glad you added at the end that I'm a humanitarian.
Yes, you are. You is in the
Forget,
community. You're
forget all the
working.
sports stuff.
I love that.
Forget all the sports stuff. Humanitarian. That sounds better.
Yes, we see your hard work in the community, so we definitely have to add that to it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, and you have an extensive background. I mean, like, how does it feel to have accomplished so much?
Well, you have to feel good about it. I mean, as a
Mhm.
kid, you always talk about things you want to do. You want to be a fireman. You want to be a police officer. You want to be a
Mhm.
basketball player, football player. Everybody has something as a kid that they think they want to do. Um, I always wanted to be a professional football player,
Mhm.
more mostly because that's what my dad did. And so, back when I was growing up, it seemed like boys always wanted to do what their dad did. Mine just happened to be a football player. So for
A
for my
legend.
so for my dad to play pro football, that automatically made me want to do it. And so for me to go on and achieve the things that I did because of
Mhm.
I wanted to follow in his footsteps, you got to be proud of it because at the end of the day, everybody has a dream and they want to be as close to living it as possible. And I got to live my dream.
Well, I know we talk about extensive background, but you are not only a football player, but you a professional football player, but you are also a track star. Now that in itself is amazing, but they kind of go hand in hand because you was the top running back, so they kind of go hand in hand.
They really do, and people know that, especially in high school. Coaches know it more so than coaches as they get older. Well, they do know it, they just don't want to admit it. When you're playing football in high school, it's the football coach is usually the track coach also. And so
Yeah.
he convinces these guys after football, we got to run track so you can get faster. It becomes when you get to college nowadays, it's like they don't allow you to run track as much unless you're just a superstar because it's about control and you always being with them. And so for me, coming up in my day and age, that coaches were more willing to
Hmm.
allow you to do both sports because it does help you. When you finish college football, the first thing everybody thinks about preparing for is the 40-yard dash,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
had they been doing this throughout their college career, they wouldn't have
Hmm.
to prepare as much because would already been doing what the fastest people in the world do. Fastest people in the world
Yes.
are track people. So if you want to be fast, you should do what they do. Football players don't do what they do, and so that's why they're not as fast unless you're just naturally gifted like that. And so I think me being a long jumper,
Hmm.
more so than a sprinter, that taught me a lot of body control and everything, which also helped me on the football field.
And speaking of college, you went to the University of Texas of Austin. I love Austin.
That's right. Longhorn.
Yes, and you broke records in Austin. All the records in Austin.
Yeah, and it's funny because Texas wasn't even my first choice.
Mhm.
When I came out of high school, I actually committed to the U Miami. My parents weren't having it. They wouldn't let me go there because of all the stuff that
Yes.
people have seen and heard. And I was only 17 going into college.
Mhm.
So I played my first semester of football at 17 years old, then turned 18 when we came back after Christmas break. And so I kind of understand it. So yeah, I then went to Austin, which was better for me because
Mhm.
Miami wasn't a powerhouse at track as well as football at that time, and I knew if I went to Texas, I could do both and be successful at both. And so, looking back, it's the best place for me. I'd do it all over again. We didn't win as many football games as I would have
Hmm.
liked to at the University of Texas, but all the friendships and relationships I forged while I was there, I wouldn't trade them for the world. On top of the fact that I got to win national titles in the long jump when I was there as well.
Yes, you did. You won those titles. That's amazing. 1986 and 1988. That in itself that's powerful to me. Like, just to win those titles, and like I said, you was taking over down there at the University of.
I was trying to. That was my goal. I mean, I think when you want to do something, I
Mhm,
feel like if you don't have aspirations to be at the highest level of whatever it is you want to do, then you're never going to be good at it,
mhm.
right? I mean, that's just the way I feel. I mean, because we're not all going to make it to the highest level of whatever
No.
we're doing. But if you have aspirations to do that, then you're always going to prepare and practice and do anything it takes to possibly get you there. And I think, and that's what I try to preach to the new generation, is that a lot of times I don't think guys are all in. Like, I, I push my chips all in. I would
Mhm.
play football today for free.
Yes.
I would play in the NFL for free if everyone did.
Mhm.
If everyone
But
played,
everybody ain't gonna play for free.
but I'm in because I loved it that much, right? And
Mhm.
so that's what I'm talking about when I say if you're willing to put your chips in and go all in, then you can't be disappointed if wherever you land.
Now let's talk about your professional, career in football. Speaking of, the draft is coming up. It's coming up. It's in Detroit, and you were drafted the first round. 13 overall pick by the Cleveland Browns. That's pretty major.
It is, and
It's major.
it is, and I didn't think when I was coming out, I knew I felt good about going in the first round. I thought
Hmm.
I'd be later in the 20s and everything. And to be honest, when I was getting drafted, I wanted to be drafted by the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay.
I did. I had a friend who played for the Rams. I felt like I could go to LA and be a star. and,
Hmm.
and, and so that's what I really wanted to. I played in the Senior Bowl because the Los Angeles Rams coaching staff was coaching in the Senior Bowl. So that's the only reason I played, because I wanted them to draft me. Um, Looking back on the draft, there was a lot of things going on with it. Cleveland Browns came in to try to get me to work out before the draft. I wouldn't do it because they said they might be drafting me. I was like, okay, that's a chance I'll have to take. But during the actual draft, watching it, I heard the Denver Broncos were the next pick. They traded to the Cleveland Browns, and Cleveland gave up like 5 picks to move up. And I told my mother I'm about to be drafted. She's like, no. I'm like, yes, I am. And I just felt it. I just felt like that was they really wanted me, and so it was an exciting moment because when you think about it, it's what you've been waiting for your whole life.
Yes.
Everybody says they want to get to the National Football League. They want to be drafted. And so till that point, being drafted is the most exciting thing that ever happens to a 21-year-old kid, right? Then you move on after that. And so, I mean, I really loved and cherished the moment that I had getting drafted and just going through the whole process.
Speaking of process, how was that process like? Was it quick? Because once they draft you, all eyes are on you now. Like, everybody want to get to you. They get the jerseys. They are ready. So, what was that process like once you found out? Okay, you're going with Cleveland.
Well, it was a fast but slow process in that back in the day, you get drafted. They have draft weekend. I went back to Austin because I spent the draft in Seattle with all my family. I didn't go to New York
Mhm,
anymore. So I went back to Austin for a day or two. Then, bam, you have to go to Cleveland for minicamp, right?
mhm.
You don't do that anymore. You have to finish school and all that kind of stuff. And so I went to Cleveland for minicamp, but I wasn't able to practice because, of course, I didn't have a contract and they wouldn't give me insurance policy. And so my agent was like, no, because if something happens,
Mm-hmm.
you're out of luck. And so I ended up just standing around, and I didn't really think it was going to work, because as I'm
Mm-hmm.
standing around at minicamp in May in Cleveland, it is snowing. And right, and I'm thinking I'm coming from Austin, Texas, where I'm getting 70 degrees at least every day. The whole time I'm thinking this isn't going to work in Cleveland, because they play on natural grass, or dirt or mud or whatever you want to call it, and it's in the snow. I don't know how I play is going to work. And so, going back home and going through the whole thing, I end up holding out, because just couldn't get the contract worked out uh,
Mm-hmm.
fast. And so I ended up holding out and didn't actually go to Cleveland until the last preseason game. So I played one preseason game, and then we were into the season. So that was the slow, long process. And so after I signed
Yeah.
and jumped in, then it was off and running, and I've loved Cleveland ever since.
I'm gonna tell you, I went to Cleveland because I had to make an appearance. I have never felt cold like that in my life. It's just like walking into a freezer. Even worse, because that it's like a breeze that come over in Cleveland, and it's cold. Like it's like a different kind of cold. Like I have never felt.
Now,
I
now
don't see how
imagine,
you did it.
now imagine being on that field, and it's that type of cold, and you remember, and the stadium's on the lake, and so
Mm,
and so that wind chill was coming right off that lake into the stadium. It feels like 15 degrees colder if you're in that stadium and you're losing. it's,
I can't do it.
it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
No. And with Cleveland, you did some amazing work because you was named a Cleveland Brown legend. I mean, the city behind you, Cleveland is behind you,
And,
and you was nominated for numerous awards, and also for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As well. I mean, just to have that, Cleveland legend behind you, that's amazing in itself.
it really is. I mean, because when you think of the Cleveland Browns, it's a storied franchise.
Mm-hmm.
They've had many All Pros, many Hall of
Yes.
Famers. I mean, arguably the greatest football player ever in Jim Brown played for the organization. And
Yes.
so, it's an honor that I feel really good about, because to be named, and that's the same sentence of all these guys who played for the Browns and in the Hall of
Mm-hmm.
Fame. That means they respected what I did and felt good about me as a player there. I mean, I, I really wish I was in the Hall of Fame. Also, I feel like I should be, but if I never get in the Hall of Fame, I'm still content with everything that I accomplished during my career. And
But you in several Hall of Fames, though.
no,
Come on
that
now.
sounds good, but you want the one. Everybody wants the one. Like I said, we all have goals until we get to the next
That's
goal.
just one. You in multiple. You
I
talking
want.
about the one. No, but you in multiple areas, as a Hall of Fame. You still a Hall of Famer.
I'm going to be a Hall of Famer in my mind, regardless. but I want to be a Hall of Famer in somebody else's mind.
Yes. Now I want to talk about your work in the community. You do a lot of fundraising as well, and you also, was a part of the Cleveland Browns fan cruise as well. I know that seemed very fun. Tell us about that experience. With the fans and being a part of that.
Oh, that was fun. I mean,
Hmm.
going into it, I was kind of leery of how it was going to be, because you get on a cruise and you just feel like people are going to be hounding you and the whole time, because a
Hmm.
lot of times they don't get to really see you, right? I go to Cleveland every home game, because I do TV pregame, postgame shows there on the local station. But I think being on this cruise, it was a little different, because when I'm in Cleveland, it's during the season. It's usually on the weekend of a game,
Hmm.
and everybody's in game mode. So when they're
Yeah.
talking to you, they're talking straight up football. This, we got to do this right now. We need to do this. What do you think about this? And that's how it is the entire time. Whereas on this cruise, it's more relaxed. And
Hmm.
so now it's about people telling you about their favorite memories, asking you about your memories and things like that. And they're getting to interact with us differently than they would in a I got to talk to them now moment that they're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing when we're in Cleveland, because they have time to relax and just lay back, smoke some cigars, have some drinks, and just chill out. And so I really enjoyed it a lot. I think my favorite part of the entire cruise was the fact that, like, when we had dinner every day, we would sit at a different table,
Mm-hmm.
and so we would get to talk to different groups of people, and they get to ask different questions. So the conversation was always different. It's still about your time mostly as a Cleveland Brown and things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still a different conversation because of the way they ask the questions and how you present an answer.
Because I think when, fans come up to you, I think they be so anxious and so hyped because they like, I'm never going to get this experience again.
Right.
So
And that's
let me
what
get
it is.
this photo. Let me get the signature.
Yeah. Right.
This might be my last time.
Yeah, but when you're on the cruise, you don't have to worry about that because we're all stuck on this boat. So you're gonna probably see this person again, and so that's why it
Mhm.
gets to be more relaxed. You don't have to do everything all at once.
Yes.
And it just felt good about just hanging out, because I think in this situation there was times where we were just hanging around fans, like I said, smoking cigars, having a few drinks and everything. Whereas in a different situation, maybe being in Cleveland,
Hmm.
might not really want to do that because it's not really relaxed. It's in a go get them situation where
Yes.
and so you wouldn't enjoy that as much as we did on the cruise.
That's pretty nice though. How long was the cruise?
It was 5 days.
Ooh, that's a lot of days.
It,
a
it,
lot
you
of
know,
days for the fan.
it seemed like a lot of days, but it really
Mhm.
wasn't, because it's almost one of those things where you didn't really get to spend a lot of time anywhere,
Okay.
right? So because we went to Nassau, we only spent the day there. We went to Jamaica, we spent the day there, but most of the time we were just sailing around. And
Hmm.
so if it were longer, it might be more fun, but then it might not be. It might be
Yeah.
in one of those situations where I need to get the hell off this boat. So five, 4 or 5 seems like a cool spot,
Hmm.
where we can just chill out and enjoy each other.
Did they have a time where people you can sign the some of the fans, memorabilia and things like that?
Oh, they did, yeah. So
Okay.
each day when we were at sea, when we were on the boat, there was like each day there was 2 hours that
Hmm.
we would autograph, but we would only do an hour at a time. So we
Hmm.
do it for an hour, and then we take a break. Then we come back, and so I think they made it easier that way, so that they can just pick a certain amount of people. They come in for that hour, get the autographs, and then leave. Then the next group would come in a couple hours later, and do their hour.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Now, what else do you have coming up, next? I know, like I said, you do a lot of work in the community as well, helping others, giving back. What else do you have coming up?
I'm trying to figure it out. Like I said, I'm a kid I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do when I grow up. I actually so for the past few years, like, I've been consulting with Nike Track and Field. I
Okay.
have I actually coached uh, a young man who's has aspirations of getting to the Olympics in track. He's a sprinter,
Hmm.
so I've been doing that a lot as well. I mean, my son has aspirations of playing in the NFL, and so
Yeah.
I'm helping train him as well. So these are things that I'm really doing right now. I mean, I'm trying to. I've been throughout the course of my life. I've had football camps. I've had track clubs. I sponsored uh, luncheons at the Boys and Girls Club. I sponsored teams right here. I've done a lot of
Hmm.
things, and and it's things that you always want to do because you always want to give back and make sure that the kids are getting better. They're not
Yes.
only as athletes but as people. And so if I'm helping them, they're getting to see guys like me who've been at the highest level but are still willing to come back and help around here. Then you got to feel good about that. So my goal is to be around the community, to help kids and become the best people they can be. And
Hmm.
there are a lot of athletes in Seattle, Washington, who have made it to the highest level, and a lot who give back to Jamal Crawfords and Nate Robinsons, all these guys, Nate Burleson's, guys who are from here, who grew up here. And so guys are always trying to do something because, people don't think much of Seattle as a sports town, but
Mm-hmm.
now they are. But
Oh, now they are
now
Seattle.
now they are, but everyone can't be a sports figure, and so
Yeah.
we have to help these kids realize that it might not be possible, but you can still be a better person. You can still achieve some things that on a level that these sports figures have, right? And
Yeah.
so and so that's what we try to instill in these guys. That's what I've always tried to instill in these kids, that just being the best person you can be gives you a great avenue to be successful.
Yes. I went to Seattle too. It was so beautiful, so green, so
Don't
many
tell no one
trees
that. Don't
and
tell
hills.
anyone that. We don't want people to know that. I want you got to keep telling people it rained all the time. It
It
is,
was so beautiful when
it
I
is
went. It was
too
so green.
crowded. It's too crowded and expensive. We don't need that. We don't need.
That's what they try to tell everybody. Oh, it's too expensive. No, it's not. LA is if you
So,
can do LA, you can do Seattle.
right. You can't do the
That's
rain though. You can't do the rain though.
oh no. It was like 1 or 2 days. It was kind of like it wasn't rainy. It was like a little misty, a little
Okay.
cloudy,
Yeah.
misty.
That's
But
how it is all the time.
you don't think about it because it'd be so much green, beautiful hills, mountains, everything. Like this is so pretty, so much land.
See, you're telling our secret. We don't want that. People from Seattle don't want people to know that. We don't want people moving here.
And see, I've got good food too. They got good food.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Look, I'll be a house for real. Eating in Seattle. Now, tell us if anybody want to contact you, connect with you. Where can they go to?
On Twitter, Eric Metcalf 21.
Mhm.
On Instagram, EM2 Wonderful is my name, and or L Group PR,
Okay, that's
which
what
I
I'm talking
prefer. Which I prefer you go there.
about. Go to L Group PR,
L Group,
LaSheryl.
yes, sir. Yes. Don't bother me because I don't have any answers for you.
Definitely go to L Group PR. But I just want to, thank you for taking out the time to talk with the Nikki Rich Show today. Again, congratulations on all your success. Many more coming up, to anybody out there that want to connect with you, mentoring anything, just even the word connect with L Group PR.
The next
and
L Group
and once again, thank you for being our guest. Many blessings to you and all the success.
PR. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.